My heart, Bob, is absolutely vivified. That was so personal and so beautifully told. Before we introduce Robert and welcome him back to Toastmasters to give his speech, we're going to hear from Chris Bassett on Robert's objectives. And this is what Chris said about feeling alive. I feel most alive when I'm actively engaged in doing something I love, like playing guitar, playing volleyball, or ultimate frisbee, going out for a hike in nature, or having an interesting conversation with friends. Chris, would you please take a moment to tell us the speech objectives for Robert's presentation?
Sure. So the title of Robert's speech is Eats in Delray Beach, a Jewish Paradise Maybe. It's an original story, so it's not from a manual. Time is 7 to 9 minutes. His objectives are that the listeners enjoy the tale, to have better posture, to have a loud enough voice without the mic, that the speech is well formed, clear, and concise, and to connect with everyone in the room.
And before we thank you very much, a round of applause for Chris. Just a very small housekeeping item. I didn't notice that it was 7 to 9. We had
Yeah, I
5
asked
to
for
7.
it, but I just motioned to Chris that I could use 7 to 9.
Okay.
More likely I'll be to the 7.
Okay. Let's please welcome. It's going to go for 7 to 9. But Robert is going to try to shoot for as close to 7 as possible. Robert Eisenberg.
I feel alive when I'm alive. I'm going to tell you where I was, at Delray Beach. That's in between Fort Lauderdale and West Palm. Delray Beach is 2 cities. East of 95, you have to get a visa if you're my age to get into that side. 25 and under. And it doesn't open till about 7:30, but when it opens, slam, bang, wow, music, culture, pizza, food, all kinds of coffee shops. It's a happening place and a delightful place. The other side of 95, people like me, older. I won't say Jesus, but close. And can you believe that there are as many delicatessens as there are CVS's and Walgreens? There are. And they're good. And how do you find out about the best ones? You do what I do. You go in the pool every day, and that's where you learn where to get tired and where to get the best pastrami. There's a guy in the pool yells out, I know from pastrami. I come from New York. And I ate in the Stage and I ate in Carnegie. If you want to know about pastrami, you come to me. Then there are huge arguments about corned beef. Where to go for corned beef? Chopped liver has actually broken up friendships. Like I said, there are delis everywhere. And close to my house are 2 delis. One is about a mile north of me. It's called Ruven's. And I mostly use it for takeout. Now, the food there is excellent, but there are other issues. And the main issue is when I go to takeout, Lonnie is waiting for me. Lonnie's about 5 feet tall. She weighs maybe 110 pounds, but she has her hands on her hips and she says, I'm from Brooklyn, and don't mess with me because I'm from Brooklyn. What did she call me? Boston. And she presumes that everybody from Boston is a Red Sox fan or a Patriot fan, and so immediately she doesn't like me. So the other day I came in there, and Lonnie doesn't look happy. And I realized why. I came in. Now, the worst thing I can order from Lonnie is egg salad. Lonnie personally doesn't like egg salad. But egg salad to her is more difficult because if you order meat, the guy who slices the meat slices it for her and hands it to her. The egg salad she has to scoop out, and that doesn't please her. As a matter of fact, I've heard her say, egg salad does not belong in a deli. I worked in Brooklyn for many years, and when people asked for egg salad, we said, we don't have it. She was very proud of that. So meanwhile, she pours or scoops out some egg salad for me, and she holds the container up. She says, hey, Boston, is this okay? I'm scared to death. It's pathetically small. Could you double that, Lonnie? Double it! Double it, she says. And she gives me a look that could kill a bear. She then puts it in another container, and as she's doing, she says, when are you going to make up your mind? She puts that word mind like a question mark. When you want something. By this point, I was so intimidated that I couldn't get the rye bread that I needed to put on the egg salad when I got home. Now, just south of me is the 3Gs. And everybody says this is the place to go for deli. This place. So when my wife and I got there, she made a reservation at 3Gs. We get to 3Gs, and we want to get to the hostess. She's completely surrounded by maybe 15 irate people. It took us about 25 minutes to finally get to the hostess. And we said, we have a reservation for 6 o'clock. Does that mean something? And she looks at us and she says, yes, it means something, and walks away. We started asking all the other patrons, what does something mean here? Does it mean something different? Anyway, we found out that it didn't mean much. Finally, while we were waiting, we were talking to people, and down in Delray Beach, people kind of really speak their mind, maybe because they're from New York. And they looked at my wife and I and they said, have you been married long? Yes. Is this your second marriage? No. How many grandchildren do you have? At that time we had one. We said 1. They said, that's not many. We said, when we go home, we'll work on it. Finally, we sat down about 45 minutes later. And the table next to us was having an issue with their waitress. So they called over the head waiter. He came over and he said, what seems to be the problem here? And they started defining what they were upset about. He said, well, she is one of our best waitresses, so you must have done something wrong. When I first got down to Delray Beach, I was a little concerned about the waiters and the waitresses, because everybody there is from New York. I figured they were going to have a hard time. No. It was the customers who had a hard time. The last restaurant we went to was a deli too, a kosher deli called Ben's. And the reason we went there is a friend of ours is kosher, and there are no kosher restaurants in Boston. So he just had to go to this restaurant. It was at least a 35-minute wait just to get in the door. And once we got in the door, we thought we should be happy, except there was another line that took us about another 25 minutes to finally get seated. We finally did get seated, and the waiter came over, and he looked at us. Now, is there such a thing as a sarcastic look? If there is such a thing, he had a sarcastic look. And he looked at us and he said, and what can I do for you folks? He knew we were not Floridians. My friend, the kosher friend, ordered ribs. The waiter, you could see by his smile, thought that was a good order. And he nodded to such an extent that my wife ordered the same thing. My friend's brother ordered corned beef. The waiter said, corned beef? Ha! We probably have the best corned beef in Florida. Florida? Probably the best corned beef on the whole East Coast. And I'm thinking to myself, how many places has he eaten? How does he know this? Finally, he comes to me, and I say very quietly, I'll have an omelet with tomatoes and onions and no cheese. Well, if looks could kill again, this one could have knocked over a boulder. He says, how would you like it? Well done? Medium? Or medium rare? Before I could answer, he walked away. Finally, when he came back, after we asked for the bill, he used the old witty joke. Was anything okay? And then he said, are you sure? And I said, no, because I had ordered an omelet with a side of rye, and I never got the rye. And he looked at me and said, it wouldn't be good for you anyway. And that's a little bit of Delray Beach.
Well done, Robert.